My name is James Walsh, and I'm an associate professor at the University of Colorado, Denver, in the political science department. I was digging out my own genealogy, and I was never taught anything. My siblings and I, we weren't taught anything about our Irish roots. And so I found an uncle who knew a lot and started hanging out with him in the 90s, and we would go around looking through microfilm and baptism records, I mean, everything, naturalization papers. I found stories of terrible accidents, people almost dying in fires, industrial accidents, suicides. So for me, what I began to piece together is a story of intense tragedy and trauma, and the toll that industrial labor has had on my ancestors and on Irish America in general became crystal clear to me. So that really changed my identity. It changed how I see myself, my trajectory. I learned to embrace and find great pride in working class roots. And I teach that to my students now. And then decided that my dissertation topic was going to be studying famine refugees here in Colorado. And when I started looking at sources, Leadville kept popping up as the place. So I started going up there and looking in through the records. And that's how it all happened. A friend brought me there to see the pauper cemetery. I was just in a sea of graves that I didn't know were graves. It took me a few minutes to look down at the ground and realize that there were graves stretching as far as I could see. And I knew pretty immediately that these were the people I had been researching. That moment has changed my life. I made a commitment that day to be a voice for the people buried there and to tell their stories. And then, when I began to learn about the horrors of living up there in the 1880s, the epidemics, the mining accidents, all of it, it was clear that these people had no idea what they were getting themselves into. And I know that my own ancestors, they didn't know what they were getting themselves into, but it was still preferable to what they left behind. And to me, Mother Jones has this quote, "Pray for the dead, but fight like hell for the living." And to me, that encompasses what this memorial and what this work is about. Yeah, we're going to pray for the dead and we're going to learn from the dead. But ultimately, our charge is to fight for the living. Where do we see the same situation? Where do we see the same circumstances? Where do we see the same attitudes? And the answer is everywhere. We see the indignities that working people face, that immigrant communities face, the xenophobia, the ignorance. And so the joy of this work for me hasn't been looking inward. It started with looking inward, but the joy of this work for me has been looking outward and using this work and using the memorial as a bridge to other communities. The Southern Ute Nation has sent their cultural director twice to Leadville for ceremonies, and she'll be coming again for the unveiling. Did a beautiful blessing of the ground. The immigrant community is going to have a representative speak at the unveiling ceremony, as is the labor community. And so all of them recognize the vital connection that we're trying to draw. And I have to constantly remind my Irish and Irish American colleagues that this is our duty. There's a reason that all the names are on the memorial, not just the Irish names. And that reason is that this isn't just about the Irish. This is about working class existence. And the purpose of this work, the larger mission and purpose of this work, is to make the world a better place. So yeah, we've gotten pretty good at praying for the dead, but we need to keep learning how to fight for the living. And that is and will always be, for me, the purpose of the memorial.